Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to analyze the squat movement and its associated biomechanics, cues and targeted muscles that are required for this lift. Specifically, we're going to analyze the standard high bar squat, typically one of the first barbell exercises that an individual are taught once they use it for their training programs. In improving the form and technique, an athlete has the potential to lift heavier weights with reduced chance of injury. This multi-joint exercise is extremely effective at developing the muscles in your lower torso, developing your core as well. It is a great foundation exercise for building overall power and strength, but must be performed with good form. When performing the squat, the targeted muscles are your quadriceps, gluteals, and your hamstrings. Although you still use the muscles on your upper thorax, such as your triceps, biceps, latissimus, external obliques, and erector spinae, when racking and unracking the bar. Let's now take a look at the squat movement at its motion, and let's break this down into several fragments to fully understand the biomechanics of the squat and the cues you should look out for. So when squatting the bar, athletes should set it around their chest height, and to ensure that the bar should not be set higher or lower to allow them to unrack and re-rack the bar safely. The next key point is to get the bar into the correct position on your back. In order to do this, pull yourself under the bar and place the bar on top of the trapezius muscle, just on top of the posterior aspect of the shoulders. Gripping the bar tightly, although some athletes grip the bar differently, either hooking their thumb under the bar while others will keep it on top of the bar. But the target for this grip is to have a neutral wrist alignment. Now we unrack the bar and position yourself under the bar with your feet evenly placed around your shoulder width. Taking a big breath and a braced core, extend your hips and knees at the same time with even pressure in both legs. Standing up with the bar and moving back from the rack. Slowly taking 3 steps backwards and establishing your squat stance. The width of the stance should be comfortable and allow you to have a full range of motions. Every athlete will be different and have a slight difference in their stance width. From Dr. Aaron Horschig by the Squat University, he broke down the high bar squat in basics. The first thing he talked about is the athlete's toe angle. The cue's goal is to place your toe angle in the correct position to allow the athlete for a full depth of squat. As a starting point, place your feet around your shoulder width with a straightforward foot placement in a 10 to 15 degree toe angle. Although every athlete is different and can be limited by their mobility and anatomy, that can significantly impact their stance. Various coaches will teach their athletes on how their foot placement is and what suits their sports and performance. The next cue would be the tripod foot. Creating this tripod foot, use your first toe and the base of your fifth toe and your heel to create an arc on your foot to help distribute the weight. So if you imagine a 3-wheeled motorcycle whereby the weight is evenly spread in order to create stability. A healthy foot tripod is dependent on foot structure, flexibility of the joints, strength, endurance, and control of the muscles. Once the athlete gets in their squat stance position after taking 3 steps backwards, we are now into the descent phase. Before we squat, we want to brace and take a large breath and hold it through the entire duration of the lift. This is imperative, especially when squatting heavy, in order to significantly stabilize our core muscle to perform the lift. Our next cue would be the hip hinge, and utilize the posterior chain so therefore that the gluteals and hamstrings are engaged. The target for this is that we want to move the hips back and drive the chest forward in a hinge motion. Our next cue would be to create an external rotation of the torque, and therefore the tension will create a spring-like tightness in the hips, ensuring our knee tracks with the ideal alignment during the squat. In order to do this, we want to squeeze our glutes and drive the knees out, bearing in mind that we don't want to compromise the tripod foot without pushing the knees out too far. Once the hip hinge and external rotation of the torque in place, we can then start the squat and transition from the descent to the bottom position. So during this phase, the bar is now the center of gravity, and in the high bar squat, an upright torso position is in place due to the position of the weight. This means that the knees move forward past the toes in order to reach full depth, and equally distribute the load between the quadriceps and the gluteals, while ankle mobility also taken into effect. One note would be that the depth of a barbell squat will be specific to the demands of the sport of the athlete, and different federations have different depth requirements. But a good general depth would be that the athlete should be able to hit a parallel depth, and that means that the hip crease will be parallel to the knee joint. Moving from the bottom position to the ascending phase, once adequate depth is achieved, we now aim to drive the shin to a vertical position. Elite athletes often use a powerful transition and using their power and force to move from the bottom position, and imagining a spring release, propelling yourself upwards with your leg power, highlighting that the upper torso should remain in a stable position when ascending. Inexperienced athletes tend to have their back collapsed and rounded forward. Therefore, it's imperative to avoid bouncing out of the bottom position without the correct control, as it can put pressure on your spine and can lead to injury. And forceful transition should always be supervised under experienced coach. So now we know how to perform a high bar squat. We shall discuss other lifting movements in the next videos in the series. But for now, make sure you like this video and stay tuned in the next topic in the series. And I'll leave you with this video from your new coach, Jerry.